Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Sweden. I don't know why I went with the Dracula voice there. My bad. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in medieval times, I guess.
I don't think they ever
Do you want
specify the specific location in Sweden
It's
in
set
this
during the
film.
Crusades, but
it's
yeah, they
set
don't specify a
it's set
location.
right after the cruise. It happens when the Black Death is happening. And that's thematically relevant. We'll get into that. But would you guys like to play a game with death?
Yeah,
Is it checkers?
I fuck with chess.
Chinese checkers.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't believe it or not, but heaven is Chinese. Which makes, sense logically, because
yeah, I like chess. I'm not good at it, but I like chess.
aren't you guys gonna introduce yourself?
Did you introduce
My
yourself?
name
Oh
my
yeah, I
name is
did. My name's
Patty.
Red.
My name is Patty, and one to King 4.
And I'm Lugia. Death makes people smarter?
I guess like you could say people who face death
Better to live
gain
in
some
fear
wisdom.
than be ignorant. Or at least that's what I got from the painting scene.
Today we'll be talking about a movie concerning religion and death. The Seventh Seal. Speaking of religion and death, the Pope died. Pope Francis passed away. He was very well respected Pope, especially for being, pretty progressive, considering the Catholic Church. Generally seemed like a very nice man. I think he was like the first guy to like be cool with gay people. He supported Palestine. But yeah, rest in peace, Pope Francis, or if you want to go by his birth name, Jorge Bergoglio. It's Hispanic. I don't know. Yeah. Fun fact: Pope Francis was from Argentina, in Buenos Aires. Did you know the popes don't like use their real names?
I
Like they
actually
get
didn't know that.
so they have the birth name and then they like just they pick like a pope name, like a religious name. Pope John Paul named himself after the two previous popes, Pope John and Pope Paul, or as I like to call him, Pope Lennon McCartney. But yeah, anyway, Seventh Seal. The Seventh Seal was a 1957 Swedish historical fantasy film written and directed by Ingmar Bergman. It's also set in Sweden during the Black Death, and we follow the journey of a medieval knight, and he plays a game with death. At least that's how it starts. Basically, it's just kind of like I won't call it adventure movie, but like we're basically following this knight kind of journeying along, and throughout his journey, he's playing a game with the personification of death, and he's followed by a squire, and he runs into this acting troupe, and all of them are sort of meant to like symbolically like represent a different like way people approach faith. The squire and like a lot of these people kind of like joke about death, and like this guy's much more consumed by it. The guilt of it all. Yeah, this whole movie is basically just like an excuse for Ingmar Bergman to sort of get out a lot of his religious doubt. And it's not the only movie that's done this. Winter Light is another movie he's done to get out his religious doubt, but this one is like much more like abstract about it, and I think it takes like an interesting approach because it's about a guy who like just fought the Crusades, this war for his god, and then when he comes back home, the Black Plague is happening. So that just makes him think it's like, oh fuck, did we do something bad? Is God punishing us? Should we not have done that? Which is honestly kind of an interesting thing because especially like because this was made in the 50s, because we in retrospect do view the Crusades as a mistake. So like it almost kind of feels like he's honestly kind of making a statement saying like the Black Plague was like punishment. The title, the Seventh Seal, refers to the Book of Revelations. I believe the film actually opens with the quote.
It opens and it kind of closes with it because it's one of the last big monologues before the ending.
And yeah, it was inspired by a bunch of different paintings actually. Picasso has one, and like there are a bunch of like old medieval paintings of death playing chess, which I think they even reference in the movie. And what's funny fact is this was originally not a movie. It was originally a play called A Painting on Wood. And in that version, death was not represented by an actor but silence. Kind of a bold choice, but yeah, he decided to adapt it to film, and I guess figured, I can't really do that, but I don't know, I feel like he was able to still convey, the powerful presence he was trying to with the silence. Bergman rewrote the script 5 times and was given a schedule of only 35 days and a budget of $150,000. Um,
35 days?
yep, this movie was made on a very short but on a very small budget and filmed in like a month. Not even a month because he had to like edit it and stuff too, I'm guessing.
Fuck.
So yeah, which probably explains why he was able to get two movies out that year because this was not the only movie released in 1957. It was really funny. Is both the movies that came out in 1957 are like widely considered like two of his biggest. A lot of people compared it to The Passion of Joan of Arc, which we have upon initial release. A lot of people compared it to The Passion of Joan of Arc, which is we've talked about that film. I don't know if you guys saw any thematic parallels there, but
A bit.
yeah,
Although I think it's a little different in this case because there is actual verbal dialogue as opposed to Passion of Joan of Arc, which is a silent film, and it makes more
yeah,
use of its characters and their expressions. Whereas here, like you can clearly listen to what everyone's saying, although it's Swedish, and I'm pretty sure none of us even speak or understand the Swedish language. But we have subtitles for all that.
Anyway, last I guess fun fact is this movie is considered to be incredibly influential on pop culture because for some reason a lot of people when they depict death and stuff they like to specifically parody this version, including stuff you wouldn't expect because Last Action Hero and Bill and Ted 2 both riff on this version of death. I think Animaniacs also. And I
That's
don't know.
that's funny.
That's that's really funny to me that like all these like really dumb like cartoony like comedies all decided, yeah, man, let's reference the Seventh Seal.
I mean, Death in this movie, his getup is a little goofy, not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I also I won't. He is kind of funny, like intentionally so. Like
Yeah.
the fucking tree scene was so
Where he just
like I
whips
was like,
out the saw and he's nonchalantly cutting down the tree. He's like, yeah, I do this for a living. What of it?
yeah. Yeah, it almost feels like it's trying to be like almost like a black comedy almost, but yeah.
You know what? If we're gonna get into our thoughts, I'll just start with that. Death is my favorite part of this film, bar none. Like he has such
Yeah.
a great on-screen presence that's both intimidating and also really fucking hysterical because sometimes he'll like appear onto frame at a moment's notice and not every time that happens like, "Oh my god, there he is. What's he going to do next?"
Also, it's kind of funny. Like, it's funny how like the first scene with death is this like kind of intimidating thing where he was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna die," and he was like bargaining and whatnot. And then the second scene is basically like death cheating at the game
Yeah, cuz
because
he's like
he like
he's
tricks
in
the
the
guy
guise
and
of the
bargaining him.
pastor and then Antonius
Like,
like basically tells him,
I
"Oh
got
yeah,
you.
I met death. I'm playing a game of chess to save my life and I'm going to do these moves against him." And Death's like, "Yo, really now? I'm going to I'm going to keep that in mind."
It's also really funny how like at the end when the guy gets like really desperate in the game of death, he just like knocks over his pieces and Death's like, "Well, I remember," so like,
And it's also spoilers for the ending, by the way. I'm pretty sure it also just gets to a point where Death is like, "You know what? You've been stalling for long enough. Die."
I think like the idea is like when you play a game with death, death always wins, and like the game of death is like almost meant to be like a metaphor for kind of like life, the
Yeah,
chess
but
game. Where it's like your
they
whole
don't
life
even
you're playing
finish
a
the
game with
game
death.
though.
The idea is like you'll never like win the
Right.
game with death. There's a lot of like film analysis written about the actual chess game because the chess game is not accurate, and a lot of people are like, oh, there's some symbolic meaning there, and I think like there's some meat to that because like there's that time where it says, oh, I took your queen, and then the lady dies and all that stuff.
Maybe they're playing a prototype version of chess.
I don't know. Did chess rules
Uh,
ever change
Not all the
like
bugs have
70
been
yes,
years
worked out
they
ago?
yet.
have. They have, but it's not even accurate to that stuff. They did just kind of make it up, but it was meant. It's more for like, symbolic stuff. Like each move seems to be like a symbolic move or something. But yeah,
Chess fans waiting for Chess 2 to drop.
well, this is technically Chess Zero, the prequel. Deathlo is also probably my favorite character, but I really like the Squire. I don't know. I kind of like the fact that he kind of had like that kind of like swashbuckling, laugh in the face of death thing.
If I
Yeah.
can dare to be different, I really liked the
Yes.
Smith log. My favorite scene in the movie is when he's reprimanding his wife and the actor who ran away with him, and the servant is helping him come up with insults.
Yeah.
I don't know, like his facial expressions were great. Like the stuff he's saying is fucking ridiculous. Like, with one great fart, I will send you to hell, where you can recite monologues forever.
Honestly,
Why does this movie hate actors so much?
Maybe
'cause,
that's just a part of the time period where they're just meant for entertainment.
it is actually part of the time period. Actors were not respected until modern times, like until the advent of film, where people could actually remember actors. Because back when it was just theater and stuff, the actors weren't like known names.
They were basically clowns.
Either that or Igmar got really pissed. He made a lot of movies at that point. I think it was like this is like his 17th film or something. His 17th seal. Now, so he was just like, man, I'm fucking sick of you motherfuckers. Always showing up late. sorry for kind of almost like burying the lead because like I hyped this up as like one of the most like important films ever, and it is. But here's something I feel like a lot of people don't like tell others about a lot of pretentious films. A lot of pretentious films are really fucking funny. Like Citizen Kane is incredibly funny. A lot of Kubrick movies are incredibly funny. And I feel like that often like scares people away from like watching movies. But I don't know, I thought it'd be interesting if you guys, kind of went in blind and it was like, what is this? These are like jokes. What's going on? But yeah. I also like the actor, the main actor guy, and his like wife, because I don't know, I thought they're cute.
Well, they're the only
Also I
ones
thought
who
it was,
get a happy ending.
yeah. Also I thought the bar scene was funny. They're like, dance, actor boy.
And
Like,
then,
just
and
the
then
way
the
they filmed
squire
it was
comes
just
in and
kind
he
of funny.
sees the guy from before. He's like, you know what? I told you if I ever see you again, you're fucking done. And he gashes his eyes out.
He's fucking done. Stabs him in the face.
Also, I'm not sure like there's much of a plot. It's just kind of like an episodic kind of thing, but like it feels like it builds up to like a sort of thematic crescendo, like which I guess is
Yeah,
interesting. But yeah,
like every area that Antonius visits, he questions his faith more and more. Because he meets the actors, which is fine. That like gives him like a peace of mind, and you also see that reflected in the chess game. But then
hmm
you get to the burning of the witch, where he like tries to look into her eyes and he sees nothing, and then that's when he kind of hits a low point. And again, that's also reflected in the game where he's like losing, and that's when he pulls that cheap tactic you pointed out earlier, where he like wipes away some of the pieces from the board.
and also like that's another sort of like almost I think reflective thing because like I mentioned, like people look back on the Crusades as a mistake, and people also look back on the witch burning as a mistake. So I think it's like very interesting that he like very clearly wants to like kind of draw attention to the fact that like religion did a bunch of like horrible stuff. Like people have done a bunch of horrible things in the name of religion. It's reasonable to kind of question it because of that. I know Ingmar Bergman, like when he was a kid during the 30s and whatnot, like he apparently was like interested in Hitler as like a figure, and obviously, he apparently spent a lot of his life kind of racked with guilt over that initial fascination. It's like he's like one of the guys who, honestly, I just kind of feel bad for him. It's like imagine like in 1930, a little kid is like, hey, this guy seems kind of cool, and then like 10 years later, he becomes history's greatest monster, and you're like, oh fuck. That's like the worst version of like a celebrity like in turning out like Bill Cosby. And this movie is like intentionally anachronistic because like the flagellant movement, which was those are the people who like whip themselves on the back. That was not a thing. Yeah, he want to put that in. Also, the Crusades did not have when the Black Death happened, but he just decided, like it took place in a more optimistic period. But he was like, I think he liked the idea of like that sort of juxtaposition
The
where like
punishment.
yeah, where like it was like the so yeah, like it definitely like he definitely like all these choices are like very intentional to me. It's not even just like a reflection of history or something. He very much want to make like a statement, which I thought was interesting. I also really love how this movie's shot. I don't know if you guys recognize this, but for a while my profile picture was that like weird looking Jesus. If you look at old episodes, my profile pic is a shot from this movie.
Did
Um,
you hear about this movie, by the way?
I don't know. Just when I was like getting into cinema, I was like, all right, well, who are like the big important directors? It was like Ingmar Bergman. What's his most popular movie? The Seventh Seal. I was like, okay, guess I'll watch that. I watched it during I believe my junior year of college, and I watched it like in the middle of the night too, which is kind of funny. Gave it a nice ambiance. So it was like a solid like probably like 3 years ago. I learned about the same way I learn about every kind of like old film. It's just like it may not be famous, but like it's well known. Also, oh, actually, that's not how I heard about it. Fuck, I know how I heard about this movie. I believe I either heard about it from my dad when we watched Last Action Hero. I learned about it from the Nostalgia Critic video about Last Action Hero when I was
He
in
pointed
middle
that
school.
out too.
Yeah, and then years later, I remember when I was like getting into serious cinema, like after I like, because like I obviously I started with like the American stuff, like Tarantino, Kubrick, Cohen's, all that stuff. I already have seen foreign like Japanese, Hong Kong, Indian movies like growing up. So I wasn't like opposed to any like foreign stuff. So I was like, oh, let me check out some of Europe's foreign things. And everyone was like, oh, you gotta check out like Fellini, Bergman, Truffaut, Godard. Godard was like the one everyone recommends you check out first. Yeah, I don't know. This one looked interesting. I recognized like the iconography, so I was like, yeah, why not check out this? I've seen like four of Bergman's movies so far. I definitely need to rewatch them because one, I'm much more interested in religion than I used to be, or I was more knowledgeable. So yeah, I guess Any more thoughts you guys have on the movie? How'd you think it was shot?
I thought the
After
cinematography
that,
was great for this one.
Yeah, no, this was a great looking movie.
I guess final
It's
thoughts.
it's very strange considering that it's a black and white film. The lack of color. You'd think things would be a lot less detailed, but I would argue the other way around. I think the use of lighting is very, very strong in this movie, especially like in a lot of
Yeah,
the outdoor scenes and when they're like under trees with the shading. Like they're able to compose the shot in such a way where they're able to highlight important details in the background as well as the foreground, despite the difference in shading.
yeah, and it always feels like I don't know why, but there's like a kind of gritty texture to a lot of black and white stuff. Because like I'm really looking at like a lot of these costumes. I feel like if this was in color, this movie would look kind of ridiculous, like
Yeah,
with the costumes. But because it's in black and white, it feels right. So I'm like, oh, kind of interesting. Because like it almost like you don't really notice just like how they're kind of like almost wearing like Party City costumes. Like it's not
they're
like kind of
supposed to
like
paint a
detailed
picture in
epic
your
medieval
mind. They
stuff.
mentioned that one of the actors is wearing like all blue, but it's black and white. So when you first see it, you wouldn't really get that impression unless you're just really good at telling color from black and white.
Even if you could, like it doesn't work that way because a lot of black and white film they will straight up lie about what color stuff is because it'll look better in a different way. Like a lot of times, white is actually pink. Like Charlie Chaplin would often paint the walls pink, or like he would paint some stuff green.
I do know that the old Adams Family TV show, the whole set was painted pink, so it would pop better on a black and white TV.
Yeah. What did you think, Patty?
What?
The movie? Like, final thoughts?
Uh, it was good.
That's it. Okay.
You know me, I don't really know how to approach art house films, so I don't know. I don't know what else to say or how to say it.
Is that it then?
But this conversation really died.
uh, yeah, I think I did enjoy this overall. It was definitely like a bit of a slow burn at the very beginning. Count how many times I've said that. No, I really enjoyed, of course, Death in this movie as a character, but I also found Antonius's struggle with his faith to be one of the more compelling aspects of the film, and how that also like gets progressively worse and worse for him until it reaches the crescendo at the very end. And it's not just him that gets fucked over. Like literally everybody in the room dies. It's crazy. The only ones who make it out are the actor and his wife. But yeah, no. This was a great watch. If you're interested in historical pieces like this, go for it. I think there's nothing to lose with the Seventh Seal.
Yeah, absolutely love this movie. One of my favorites. Definitely like gives you a lot to chew on. And I feel like it's one of those movies that like I'll probably revisit a couple times. Later in my life. After I've lived more.
Yeah. Solid recommendation all around. All right. So I believe it's now my turn for the recommendations.
Righto.
Okay. So, this is gonna be a bit of a weird one. Are you guys okay with a double feature? I don't believe the movies are particularly long.
I mean, yeah, I have a day off tomorrow, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing a double feature specifically because these two movies come from a franchise that we have known for almost our entire lives. It's not Sonic the Hedgehog. They were originally books, but they also got film adaptations later down the road. So for next week, I was hoping to take a trip down memory lane and reminisce in Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Diary of a Wimpy Kid Roderick Rules.
Why not all three?
I have no memories of that third movie. I just wanted to do the first two, so that way we don't have too much on our plate. There's also a fourth one.
Well, the fourth one's like a different cast and crew, but like the original three are just like it's the same cast, same writers, same director. So I just figured,
Do you want to do the
I'll watch. I'm
trilogy?
gonna watch all. I'm gonna watch all three.
Patty, is that okay with you? Doing three instead of two?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We should give ourselves another week in advance then, just in case.
Nah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, it's Star Wimpy Kid. These are like snappy flicks.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna do the trilogy then, and not acknowledge the other ones. Aren't there like animated movies too that no one likes?
Yeah, but they're just adaptations of the first two books again. It's not like any different. I don't think there's like much of a reason to talk about it.
Okay. All right then. You got
All
a
right.
closer?
Oh, no. I don't know, something, something, something. Dance with Death. I am Swedish.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
Okay.